President. We're going to open this meeting for the public hearing for the two individuals, Elisha Tompkins, School Business Administrator, and Dr. Garnell Bailey, Assistant Superintendent for HR.
Good evening, everyone. This is to advise those present at this July 31st, 2018 public hearing regular board workshop action meeting of the Board of Education of the City of Pleasantville in the County of Atlantic that notice was given on July 25th, 2018 of the 2017 revised annual designation of the regular monthly board meetings, as required by the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975. Notice thereof has been distributed for publication in the press, the Pleasantville Current, and the Mainland Journal, posted in the Administration Building and forwarded to the City Clerk of the City of Pleasantville within the time required by said act. Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley.
Present.
Mr. Callaway.
Yes.
Ms. Couch.
Yes.
Ms. Mello.
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez.
Yes.
Ms. Thomas.
Present. Please stand for the flag salute and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, Mr. Tompkins. There's no public comment for the public hearing tonight. You have another one to put out there?
Madam President, since there is no public comment for the public hearing, I recommend that the board vote on Dr. Garnell Bailey's Yeah, I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, so good evening, Board. Since there are no public comments, it is my recommendation that the reappointment of Dr. Garnell Bailey, Assistant Superintendent, as recommended by the Executive County Superintendent for a period of July 1st, 2017 through June 30, 2018, under the same terms and conditions as conferred in her 2016-17 employment contract. Dr. Bailey to be paid an annual salary of $155,992, utilizing account number 11-000-221-102-000-234.
We need a motion.
We need a motion.
We need a motion.
Necessary.
Motion to approve the contracts.
Necessary motion.
Second by Ms. Couch. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Actually, you know,
Yeah, I was
all the way.
Let me see the list. Who's here? Mr. Barkley,
Abstain.
and your reason for abstaining, Mr. Barkley? Your reason for abstaining?
Well, I didn't really.
This is for last year.
Yes. This is for the contract for the term that just expired. Not the new contract. Or new period, I should say.
No, I vote yes.
Mr. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch?
Yes.
Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And, Madam Chairman, I'd like to move to the next recommendation. It's a motion to approve the reappointment of Elijah Tompkins, Jr., Business Administrator, as recommended by the Executive County Superintendent for the period of July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, under the same terms and conditions as conferred in his 2016-2017 employment contract. Mr. Tompkins, Jr., to be paid an annual salary of $150,271, utilizing account number 11-000-221-102-0000-234.
Is there a motion?
Necessary motion.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway? Yes. Ms. Couch?
Yes.
Ms. Mello? Yes. Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Motion passes. Sanchez and seconded by Clerk.
I just have a question. How come we are just approving contracts for 2016, 2017?
I think the reason was they wanted to complete the PAA contract. I believe that, PEA contract, rather, before they...
By statute, our contracts for Dr. Garnell Bailey and myself were sent to the county in May, which is required after the budget approval. Our contracts were pulled pending the PEA negotiations settlement. After the settlement, my contract, and I want it on the record, was denied. And it was a major issue from the county's point of view for several months. So I'd like, if possible, to Dr. Austin address it, because my contract was approved originally by the board at a certain rate, and that rate was rejected and reduced for the record. I'm not pleased about it. It just is what it is. So if Dr. Austin, if you can elaborate on that, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was a concern because what we discovered is that out of all of the business administrators in the county, Mr. Tompkins' contract was the only one that had not been approved, even after several submissions. So it was considerably disturbing because there was no clarification as to why his contract would stand out as it did in that negative fashion. We discussed and we believe that it was an unnecessary as well as an unfair focus on that delay.
Thank you. Any other questions anyone have? All right, that's it for public portion.
Madam President, I'd like to conclude the public portion section of this meeting, and we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Necessary motion.
Can I get a second? Second by Ms. Couch. Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway? Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello? Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
It is 5:18. It is closed of the public portion of the meeting.
Okay, I gotta find it.
Madam President, we need to open up the regular meeting.
Okay. We want to start with roll call? No, I'm sorry, Mr. Tompkins. Let me read the statement again. This is to advise those present at this July 31st, 2018 public hearing. No. I'm sorry. It's the same. All right. This is to advise those present at this July 31st, 2018 regular board workshop/action meeting of the Board of Education of the City of Pleasantville in the County of Atlantic. The notice was given on July 25th, 2018 of the 2017 revised annual designation of the regular monthly board meetings. As required by the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1975, notice thereof has been distributed for publication in the press, the Absecon/Pleasantville Current, and the Mainland Journal, posted in the Administration Building and forwarded to the City Clerk of the City of Pleasantville within the time required by said act. Roll call, Mr. Tompkins. Thank you.
Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch?
Yes.
Ms. Mello? Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
And the time is 5:20 at the opening of the official board meeting for July 31st.
So there's no voices of the children, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Superintendent's report?
No report.
All right.
No, the county superintendent said.
Let's make that announcement that we're going to adjust the agenda. We're going to adjust the agenda.
Well, then let's state that for the record.
The next item on the agenda, as advertised, was for the swearing-in of a new board member. I've been advised that the county superintendent has held the swearing-in of the new board member at this time, so it'll be tabled into the next meeting.
Does anyone care to speak tonight for the public portion? If so, you can just come up to the mic.
And please state your name and address for the record.
Absolutely. My name is Ernestine Smith, and I reside in Pleasantville at 603 Shaw Avenue, Pleasantville, New Jersey. I just like to be clear about a couple of things that has happened. The first thing I want to do is thank you for bringing the custodians back. My question to you is this. In 2007, there was an audit done by the state looking at fingerprints within the district. Those folks who were here in 2007 who had a clearance letter in their file, does that allow them to be archived in? That is the question.
Ms. Smith, I can answer that question. The state requirement is that they do not, after 2005, have to be to go out for the official fingerprinting, but they must be archived. That is the law. We've checked it several times, and we're very clear on that. That is the law. Prior to 2005, if you had fingerprints, you would have to go get re-fingerprinted. There is a difference. The re-fingerprinting cost, I think, is beyond $70-something. The archiving,
Yeah, it's like $73.
correct, and to archive a fingerprint is somewhere around 20.
Okay. Let me ask another question. In looking at the situation that was placed upon, I don't want to go personnel-wise, I'll go department. If you brought back secretaries and made them part-time, why wasn't it given to the custodians to do the same thing? It's just a question I just need to be clear about.
Well, I want to be clear in the answer. The fingerprinting or re-fingerprinting was not even, I was not aware of that, by the way, until the issue came up. The substituting was irrelevant. It had nothing to do with anything. We found out when we brought them back that they had to be fingerprinted. Substitutes were already in place as of July 1.
I do understand that. The people that were given the opportunity to be part-time or subs, they didn't have a break-in service which allowed them to continue. On the other half, the custodians did not have the same opportunity, and this is the question that I am presenting to you. And all I'm looking for is an answer, because looking at it and the circumstances that surrounds it, they should have had equal opportunity so that they would not have a break in service and would not be able to go through everything that they're going through now. If HR wants to answer the question, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, hello. As it was explained to us, the secretaries who came back did not, their being riffed did not constitute a break in service, whereas the way the non-renewals were done for the custodians constituted a break in service, and that was the difference. And the secretaries had come back as substitutes, and therefore the question was posed to the authorities about that, and that was the response that came back.
Okay. Let me do this. Looking at the time that was allotted, some of the custodians did not have that opportunity to know that they could be part-time subs. The other question is, for me, when we're looking at June 30th, and I've been coming to board meetings since 1991, this is the first time, and it wasn't on their part, it was that the board decided to cancel a meeting, which they knew that it would cause a problem for those individuals who needed to be brought back in before the closing of the school year. That did not happen. So therefore, now that you're having a meeting in July, it broke the service for them. If it had been taken care of prior to, that which wasn't their problem, but now here we go with this huge, and some of those individuals are having difficulty in trying to get back to work. That is a strain on them, which they don't have a paycheck, they can't pay their rent, and they're very what are they to do? I just, someone give me some clarity, and then I would be able to take my seat.
Yeah, the only response that I can give at this point is that we followed to a T what we were, the mandates and the statutes in Title 18A and in Administrative Code 6. And the coordinator contacted the state, contacted the county, and spoke with the certification people and those individuals who made those decisions and gave us the response, because as Mr. Tompkins said, he was not aware, nor were we until it was brought to our attention. Mr. Tompkins had wanted the custodians back the very next day after the board voted.
I do understand that.
And so, but it was brought to our attention that we could not do that legally. And so we made some calls and we followed the law,
Okay.
and as we understand it,
Okay.
and based on what we were told.
And I do understand that, and I'm not going to belabor this. I'm going to take my seat. The question that I am asking is the fact that you went beyond June 30th, and you had it in July, which caused complete chaos for those folks. If it had been done, or if a letter had gone to the state, or if a waiver had been done to the county, and saying, on the behalf of the board, the Pleasantville board, we allowed a cancellation that wasn't due to the participants' fault. It was the district.
Ms. Smith, June 30th, was it, the law still applies. So whether we look back in hindsight, it becomes irrelevant at this point, and I hate to say it in that fashion, but the law still applies.
And I understand that. Again, coming to these board meetings since 1991, the first, when there was an opportunity to bring those folks back earlier, before July 1st, you know what? You don't even have to answer it. It's okay. It's something that I thought human resources was a part where you help those individuals and not take them and put them through a stress factor. Because what is happening now, that is totally the question. They're going through a stress factor, and no one seems to understand that. But I guess sometimes you have to be in their place and feel what they're feeling. Just like now when we're looking at, okay, here's my raise. They want the same thing, the same exact thing. But the question is, they got to go through an unnecessary process. Thank you for allowing me that. The question wasn't answered, but I do understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Let's give us a second. They're going to present, so I don't want that process to start yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, but you can't present and be part of public discussion on the presenting. What I'd like to do, Madam President, is to have the individuals, before we begin, because we've already opened up the board meeting, present what their strategies, what their programs are about, before we go into the agenda, if that is okay with you.
Okay, before we go into that, I just want to say that that's it for public portion. Thank you.
Okay. What I'd like to do first is to have the substitute teaching proposals come up and present their proposals, and then, and I apologize, but then we're going to get to you if that's okay. All right. The first presenters I'd like is,
Source for teachers.
okay, it's Source for Teachers.
Good evening. How's everybody tonight?
Good evening.
My name is Andy Hall. I'm the Executive Vice President of Operations for Source for Teachers /ESS. This is Noelle Baglevo. She is our Vice President of Operations in New Jersey. And Wes Wallace is our Regional Manager who handles personally your account on a day-to-day basis. Wes is handing out a proposal that we'll walk through and answer any questions that you have. So we just want to mention, as we said, we're ESS/Source for Teachers. We have merged as a company with a larger company in Knoxville, Tennessee. So we're excited to, expand our operations and offer additional services that we have that helps grow Pleasantville's substitute teacher base. We feel that operationally on the third page, you'll look at our support team structure, and you'll see that as from, Noelle and Wes, you have representatives, our account representatives, client engagement representatives, recruitment specialists, and a recruiter, along with the operational team that's to the right. So this is the team that's been working with you, with the district, for the last 2 years to run the substitute teacher and paraprofessional operations. So as you can see, we have a depth of operations, and what I'd like to do on the next page is have Wes Wallace talk to you a little bit about who we're working with in the district and how the operations are handled on a day in and day out basis.
Thanks, Ed.
Good evening, Board. My name is Wes Wallace. I'm the Regional Manager for Pleasantville, and I'm basically responsible for the daily operations with our substitutes and our long-term staffing. I work close in hand with Dr. Alston and Elijah and Dr. Bailey on big picture things, but on a daily basis we work with the principals and the secretaries, where we have Kelly Matson with our client engagement team working diligently on making sure the substitutes are on time, making sure that we have quality substitutes in the schools, making sure that if there's any issues or any concerns with our substitute, that they let me know so that I can follow up and make sure that we do the proper follow-up with the substitutes and get with them so that we can keep continuity in the classroom. Keely Kramer is our recruitment specialist. She's responsible for recruiting and sourcing certified candidates for your district. Kevin Campbell works with Elijah's team in ensuring that if there's any billing or invoice issues, they are corrected. And we currently have a recruiter that's designated for Pleasantville. His name is Tom Feister. Me and Tom work out the recruiting plan on recruiting quality teachers to the district. We currently have a partnership with Stockton University. We have an apprenticeship program there where we pay for the upfront cost of all of the costs for credentialing for substitutes, and we specifically have them sourced to work in the Pleasantville School District. On the next page, I have the stats. Year to date, we have filled 80% fill rate in a very, very difficult market and a very difficult time to have 80% fill rate. It's not the greatest, but it's still a good, solid fill rate. We currently have 296 substitutes that are mapped specifically to the Pleasantville School District. 96 of those 200 was district originals when we took over the district 2 years ago. So we have increased your sub pool by 200 candidates. Long-term assignments this year we placed with certified staff is 29, and 41 of that 296 are Pleasantville residents. I'm going to turn it over now to Noel to talk a little bit more about some of the things that we do for our substitute base.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you guys and talk about our partnership. As the gentleman here kind of referenced, our partnership is based on the people that we're able to put into your district every day. We value those employees. If you turn to the next slide, you can see a little bit about some of the perks that we are providing our substitute staff. Wesley referenced it is a hard market. There is economy's getting better. There's more and more opportunities. So we're really driving to just find the best candidates we can to put in front of the classrooms and in front of your students, to ensure that they want to work with us and they keep coming back and that they want to continue to work with ESS and in the Pleasantville School District. We've put a lot of incentives in place. We offer a lot of programs, perks at work programs like a giant Groupon, gives people benefits discounts for places that they want to go. The incentives that we do throughout the school year, Mondays and Fridays, referral programs. If they know somebody who's interested in working, we'll pay, $75 a referral up to $200 for referrals. Again, getting people who are like-minded, excuse me, I apologize, coming into the district and wanting to work in front of the students and support your staff too. One of the big things that we're really trying to put in place is our recruiting. Social media is a huge avenue that we're working on this summer. Wesley referenced our Stockton program. That was a huge success last year. We worked with their administrators to identify some of their top students, put in all of the costs up front for their sub-certs, their credentialing, and then they were able to work throughout the school year. We're going to continue with the candidates we already had last year, and a lot of them have reached out and they're working their schedules, their class schedules, around the opportunity to work in Pleasantville because they need to work. So us supporting them on the front end allows them to pick up more and more assignments here, become regular faces, and if many of them go into an education field, the end goal is hopefully be a teacher for you guys someday. Our training programs, years of doing this has really allowed us to put together some great training programs. We do live training. We've also recently put together an entire online portal that is based on the training that we've developed over the years. We can use that for additional PD throughout the year, making sure everybody understands what their expectation is when they come in to be a substitute. Thank you.
And just to finish up, the last page you have the financial analysis, and you can see that we feel that our markup for the services are very competitive to the bids that you received. So we're very happy to be able to lower your markup from where we are in the last school year to next school year, and we feel that that'll gain some significant savings to the district for this upcoming school year. So we appreciate the partnership. We're excited about the future. Does the board have any questions?
Any questions, board members? Any questions?
The 80% fill rate, how do we get that rate up? And the reason I ask that question is when you have an 80% fill rate, you have a 20% failure rate. And 20% failure rate means that we're not getting substitutes into the classrooms. So what is Source for Teachers doing to enhance that ratio? And that's important to us.
One of the big programs that we have moving into next school year is what we're calling the Everyday Sub campaign. As I talked about with economy getting better and more people looking at opportunities outside of substituting, we have put in place permanent schedules for substitutes where they can be assigned jobs Monday through Friday in the school districts that they want to work in. It gives a lot of perks both on the candidate side as well as the principals and the teachers. Your principals and teachers get continuity. They see the same faces all the time, but it allows us that additional avenue for recruits where it's more of a full-time job. They can schedule off of it. They can build their lives and their budgets off of it because they're available to work for 5 days.
How do you train your substitutes to walk into a classroom and not really be babysitting?
A lot of our training is done by superintendents and principals and special ed directors, and a lot of it is on lesson plans. If you're left with nothing, what you do. We provide sample lesson plans for different subjects. We provide the opportunity for them to be able to create them. A lot of it is about asking for resources. We tell our substitutes during our trainings and reiterated many times throughout the year, if you go into a classroom and there is nothing, don't hesitate to ask. Knock on a door next door, ask a principal, say, this is what I want to do, be prepared, make sure it's okay.
Can I add something?
Absolutely, thank you.
Also, our first year here, we also partner with the district here, and all of the active subs that was working within the district, we did a professional development over at the high school where we had 40 substitutes, and we paid for a trainer to come in that was working every day in the district to go through classroom management and all the right training that is necessary for them to be successful as a teacher.
Madam President, I don't have any questions. That was the reason why.
Any other questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, we have insight.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. How are you?
How are you?
Good, thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity for us to present and respond to your RFP. My name is Tate Person. I'm Vice President of Operations for Insight. Do I have to use this? That's Vince Vukovic. He is our business development. So Mr. Tompkins told us we had about 30 minutes to do the presentation. Is that right, Mr. Tompkins?
30 seconds.
Just kidding. As a former board member, I know how sensitive your time is, so we'll keep it under the 5-minute time limit. So real quickly, I'd like to just talk about who we are. For those of you who don't remember, we were your provider from 2015 to 2016. We have a really great story. Founded in 2013, started with 3 districts in 2014, and we've grown up to over 50 school districts in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. That growth can be attributed to a couple things, but mostly having an education-based program, not a bottom-line based program. As a former classroom teacher and consultant, I spent 10 years in the classroom, 2 in Camden, New Jersey, 8 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I understand, and we understand as an organization, the impact when a substitute is not in the building. So we drive out and develop programs to meet the needs of the district so that when your students come in, they have an educator in the classroom. That's very important. It's one of our core values when we drive out our programs. So I'd like to talk about a couple things. If you go to slide 3, as I mentioned earlier, we've had success in Pleasantville. We've had success in this Atlantic County marketplace. When we transitioned the district, it was a mid-year transition. If you know anything about transitions, it's tough to transition a district in the middle of the year. I think it was February. We were able to do that in 2015. While partnering with Pleasantville Public Schools, we maintained a 95% fill rate. A 95% fill rate. Mr. Tompkins talked about a 20% failure rate. That means 5% failure rate, 95% success. That means that when a teacher is out for the majority of the time, your students will have an educator, or your students had an educator in the building to work with your students. That's very, very important. The other side of not having a student or not having a substitute in the building is the financial impact that costs to the district. So while there may be a lower markup with your current provider, there's coverage costs that you need to consider as a board. In addition to that, in that time frame, you had the highest level of support. We did have on-site support, so you had someone that was available all the time that you could work with, in addition to our corporate support. And they're there Mondays through Sundays, 6 a.m. in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. So you'll always have support from your Insight team. In addition, Pleasantville did write Insight a letter of recommendation in 2015, speaking towards our success. I won't read that, but if you turn to the next page, you'll see that letter of recommendation that was provided by Mr. Delcher, and you'll see some of the things that the district said about how Insight performed in this market. So we like to talk about the market, and we develop our programs to meet the needs of the districts that we work with. But in addition to that, we've had some success, a lot of success in Atlantic County. So number one, we work with Egg Harbor Township Schools, the largest school district in Atlantic County, where we've maintained over our 3-year relationship a 93% or better fill rate. So again, success in this marketplace. And we have some strategies and we have some ways that we perform that meet the needs of the district. We also have more substitutes as a provider in Atlantic County probably than any other organization that you'll work with. So what are our differentiators? On slide 6, number one, you had a great question, Mr. Tompkins, training. What do we do from a training perspective? So we partner with former superintendents to provide training on site. The partnership piece is really important there, because what we'd like to do is we'd like to bring in districts, members, administration to speak maybe a couple minutes at that training that we're making sure we meet the needs of the district. We also have an online component to our training, cover things like HIV, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. I know as board members you cover that a lot. Safety, active shooters, so we can cover that, and that can be an online component. We can also customize it to meet the specific needs of Pleasantville. Recruiting, hiring, and retention. This is huge for us. So we call it tackling and blocking. Everyone's going to do your Indeed, your online postings, your marketing, et cetera. And that's important, and that's kind of the top of the pipeline, the funnel. You want to bring as many people in, and you can tell that with a 95% fill rate, we were successful in our marketing or in our recruiting. The other piece to that a lot of people don't talk about is retention. What are we doing as an organization to make sure that those substitutes that come here are active and they stay here? So the other piece that I think is huge and a differentiator for us in the marketplace is getting former educators to work with your substitutes. I've met with thousands of substitutes and I ask them, how is it being a substitute? And a lot of time they say they feel like they're on an island. Having an account manager who's here, who's present, who meets with your principals, who meets with our substitutes, provides feedback. This is something you could have done better, or this is a technique you could use, helps improve the program. And then finally, our executive leadership. We have over 20 years combined leadership in this marketplace with over 50 transitions nationally. So you have a team that knows what they're doing, who has done it in this district in the past. So if you go to slide 8. The question I think that you're asking yourself as a board is why is Insight the right partner for Pleasantville Public Schools? I think the first thing, the numbers don't lie. 95% is a great fill rate. Most extensive network of substitutes. Not only do we have substitutes that are readily available to work in your schools, we're also going to develop a pool that meet the needs of your district. Customer service, I think if you speak to any of your principals or secretaries who've worked with us in the past, they will speak to that high level of customer service. You can also look in the referral letter recommendation that I showed you. And again, our past past performance in the district. So if we do get the opportunity to be your partner again, which we would really like that opportunity, here's what you can expect. A smooth and seamless transition. Even with this short amount of time, we have full confidence that we can transition before the start of school. Again, professional development academy, on-site trainings in addition to online trainings, and then on-site account management. Is there any questions?
Any questions, board members? Mr. Tompkins?
You had stated a 93% fill rate. And I've got to ask a question, and if I'm looking, and in fact I did an analysis, one of my staff is bringing it back. What was the fill rate you had when you were here?
I believe our fill rate was 95% when we were your provider from 2015 to 2016.
How do you guarantee, when you throw out numbers, I'm an accountant, I look at numbers. How do you guarantee that because you said 93% fill rate, how do you guarantee that? Because that's a high fill rate.
I didn't say that there was a guarantee.
No, I said,
I'm talking about
I didn't
past
say
performance.
guarantee, I said, how do you, well, maybe I'm using an improper term. How do you assure that you're going to have a high fill rate here?
Well, I think I just spoke to that as how we manage and how we run our programs. Again, over the last 3 years, we've been well above 93% in Egg Harbor Township, which is right down the street. How do we do that? We did it by marketing. We did it by recruiting. We did it by on-site account management. We did it by looking at your past data. So what are the trends? Year over year, things don't change in school districts. If I put 2015 and 2016, and then I put 2016 and 2017, and I look at the trends, I can almost guarantee that year over year, it's probably going to be the same thing. So what do I do as a business? I get ahead of that. And I make sure that I'm planning for those high outage days in May and June where you don't have substitutes. And then I talk to my substitutes and I say, hey, we need you. Let's go. Be ready. And having the ability to look at that past data to make sure that you don't have a large number of unfilled absences has helped us to be successful.
Board, I don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
No problem.
Madam President, I've asked one of my staff members to bring me some data and did an analysis on the two. We're going to bring that back in, but in the short term, I'd like to bring forth as a consent the finance and curriculum.
Finance and, what was the other?
Curriculum and instruction.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve finance and C&I?
There's a motion.
Second by Ms. Sanchez. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Ms. Callaway? Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello? Ms. Sanchez? Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
C&I and finance are approved.
Mr. Tompkins, let's go back to 2.8 and 2.9. To approve the minutes.
Oh, I apologize. Madam President, can I get a motion to approve?
Can I get a motion to approve 2.8 and 2.9, the board minutes? Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Couch. Any questions?
No, second by Mr. Barkley, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, I heard Ms. Couch. Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway?
Oh, yes. I'm abstaining.
Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello? Ms. Sanchez?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Motion carries. Madam President, I'd like to bring the HR agenda forth for discussion. Oh, you know what, I apologize. I apologize. We have another presentation. I truly apologize for that. Can you come forth and state your organization, please?
Good evening, Board.
Good
My name
evening.
is Rod Green, and this is my
My name is
partner.
Sunny Bardwaj.
I never can pronounce his last name, so I kind of segue. I'm an Atlanta County resident, former educator. I'm currently the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Partnership Development for Ideal Institute of Technology. I'm also a principal of Ideal Tech Center. We have a local 501c3 nonprofit private college in Absecon, as well as in the Hamilton Mall. We activate youth within the out-of-school youth platform, as well as put them on track for entrepreneurship and pathways through IT into the workforce. I had the opportunity to partner with Ample One, doing business as USA for Education, as something that I felt that would be a great initiative for the Pleasantville School District, specifically at the high school level. USA for Education, LLC, is proposing tonight to be able to activate a international student placement program for the Pleasantville High School. Essentially, the goals within this initiative is to, one, begin to increase student enrollment, two, also be able to have Pleasantville being a global platform in terms of from a marketing perspective, and essentially the third piece is to generate revenue for the district at no cost to the district. Our company has proposed to invest in the preliminary processes to set this program up, to begin to identify students in China as well as in India to be on a track to attend high school through what the U.S. Immigration and Citizenship Services deems as the F1 visa. This is not a track into citizenship. This is simply for them to be able to come to the United States
and study at a high school level. They begin at a sophomore year and they conclude through their senior year. We are proposing to manage the entire logistics and setup for this program to include the residential component for those students that would be in that pipeline. We begin through a process that usually takes about 9 to 12 months through again, Homeland Security, United States Citizenship and Immigration Service. And essentially, during that process, we have some other initiatives where we can begin to market the high school in these countries where we have offices currently with our partnership with Ample One to begin to recruit at an 8th grade level and begin a pipeline. Even though they're going to start at the sophomore year, we want to reach down into the middle school grades to begin to onboard. From a just perspective of diversity, these students come with academic profiles that we would be able to identify beforehand. We would know their GPAs, we would know their tracks of study, essentially, and through the approval process that the district would obtain, we would be able to pre-screen these students, and the district ultimately would have the autonomy to accept or deny students that are being proposed. Sunny, speak a little bit about the experience in this space, not only with high schools, but also with colleges, that kind of gives you guys a background on the experience level.
So, thank you for giving us the opportunity for presenting in front of all the board. And what we do is we bring students from India and China and all over the world where the student is interested in coming to attend the high school and as well as bachelor's and master's program. We check all the documents. We, according to school policies, what are your requirements and everything. We check all the documents and we submit all the documents to you. And once we get an LOA, which is the letter of acceptance from the school or the college or the university, and then we can start the visa process for the students. So as far as checking up the documents, we check all of it. We do all the visa process for them. We prepare them for the interviews and everything.
I would just conclude by saying that I did a little research in terms of the districts not being, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not a school choice, and if that is that correct?
That is correct.
That is a qualifying factor for the International Student Placement Program. There was only one other school that we can kind of look at that had initially activated the International Student Placement Program. That's Middle Township. They're still registered with Homeland Security, but because they are a school choice, they no longer can accept students that pay out of pocket, essentially. So because you're not in a school choice category, then that allows us to be able to accept students who pay out of pocket, essentially. And we can, at this time, table any other any questions and comments that we need to further accentuate on.
Any questions? Because I know we did ask some questions in committee, but for the board members that weren't there, any questions?
Yes, I just want to thank you first for the program. I heard you mention diversity, and I heard you mention bringing students from China and India. Do you have plans for students from Africa?
Yes, we do have a few agents, few consultants who are in Nigeria and Tanzania who are sending us students. But the reason why I mentioned India and China, because we get majority of students that we get is from India and China.
So our recruiting efforts, if there are countries that would be interested, once the program basically is activated, we have the ability to market within those other areas within the African Union as well.
Well, I would just like to close by saying I would like to arrange a meeting with you to study the possibility of implementing that and enhancing it, because we want to diversify it as much as possible. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Board.
Thank
No
you.
problem. So next was, what, HR? Was that 6.1?
Yes. Yes, 6.1.
Any questions on HR? You want to group them together? Okay. So, Mr. Tompkins, from 6.1 to 6.21, and I'm asking for 6.6 to be pulled, if that's okay with you, Dr. Austin?
I believe, Madam President, you mean tabled?
Yes, I'm sorry, table. Six point, yeah, 6.6.
Madam President, I'd like to bring forth the HR agenda. We need a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? No questions. Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Okay, this is the HR agenda with the tabling of 6.6. Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Ms. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello? Ms. Sanchez? Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
HR carries. I don't believe at this time we have any facilities? The time is 6:07. Ms. Sanchez had
Yeah, Ms. Sanchez had to go.
other obligations. Madam President, I'd like to bring forth the last item for discussion, the facilities.
Okay. I think what's left, facilities and transportation?
Yeah, but transportation falls under the finance. I separate the
Okay,
facilities.
all right.
So you already approved transportation. Just the facilities. I need a motion on.
Can I get a motion for facilities?
There's a motion.
Second, Ms.
Mello.
Couch?
Mello.
Mello. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Ms. Barkley?
Yes.
Ms. Callaway?
Yes.
Ms. Couch?
Yes.
Ms. Mello? Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Facilities carries. At this time, Madam President, that concludes our regular agenda. No closed session items? For the record, we've discussed this matter. We will take both proposals under review at the next board meeting. We will not make a decision tonight. Madam President? Madam President, I'd like a motion to explore the idea of going into, as an exploratory item for international students. I would need a motion to explore that option.
Can I get a motion?
That's our motion.
Mr. Barkley, can I get a second? Second by Ms. Couch. Any questions? Roll call, Mr. Tompkins.
Mr. Barkley?
Yes.
Mr. Callaway? Ms. Couch? Ms. Mello?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
That's a first.
Thank you. Is that it, Mr. Tompkins?
I have no further items for the agenda. For the public, we have no closed session items.
So can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
That's our motion.
Second by Ms. Couch. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
The time is 6:12. This concludes our special board meeting for July 31st. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, general public.